Welcome back to File New. My name is Ryan Selvey, and this is your stop for all things being for designer news, creator news, artistic news, and just everything that keeps you up to date in the constantly changing landscape that is the creative world. We're going to be covering a lot of different things on today's stream, like our usual font of the week and some fun rebrands. It's also that time of the year where Spotify is doing their Wrapped. So we're going to look a little bit into their design. We're going to look at some updates to the iOS system and that are getting a little bit designers upset over some Fontbook changes. We have some resources for you guys, some stress management, and of course, obviously some great news. That is all to come in the next hour or so. We're live on both YouTube and on Behance. So hello to everyone that is joining the chat. I promise to make this worth your while, though, if you are watching this as a replay. I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving break. Hello to Brie Bass. We also have Oliver. We have Jack. And we also have Apurva. So thank you guys for being here. Love to hear your thoughts as we hop into things. And we're going to hop into our first segment, but I do want to call out that things are going to look a little different this week. So let me know what you guys think about it. But we can get all into that as we get into the news. You can see that we are not in handy dandy Photoshop. Instead, we are going to try out using Firefly boards because I want to just see if I can work this into my workflow a little bit. I also want to just make sure that I'm fully understanding it. So I think this could be a cool way to really organize things up, and maybe it'll work with the idea of news articles and everything in between. But let me know how you guys like it, and we will go from there. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually this in-house agency benchmarking survey from 2025, which is the entire year. And basically there was a updated in-house agency marketing survey that was posted. It says this report brings together the findings of the second in-house agency benchmarking survey. This comes from IHALC, which is the in-house agency leaders club. Now, if you are unfamiliar with what I mean by when I say in-house agency, basically when you're attacking creative projects in the need for a client, a lot of times there are agencies that have creative agencies, and then there's in-house agencies, which is like when Steel or Duluth, I don't know why I'm only thinking of like the lumberjack things, but or even, I don't know, even like Spotify, whether they have people that they have work inside their own company, or if they outsource to freelancers, or they outsource to agencies that specifically have many clients and are working on different things. They went ahead and they surveyed a bunch of different in-house agencies and asked about how they are anticipating the coming months and year and what they are planning on doing with headcount. So over the next 12 months, they said that 51% assume that they're going to have the same amount of headcount, with 40% increasing and only 9% decreasing. Over the next 2 years, they said they expect their in-house agency to expand its remit or outsource more work to external partners, where 66% said expand or remit, then 32% said maintain our current remit and scope, and only 2% said outsource more of our functions to external partners. Now, as a freelancer, that's not to say that you can't do work with in-house agencies, but it is something to just understand the changing landscape, if that is something that is exciting to you, or if that's something that freaks you out. You can read the whole thing on IHALC's website. It's linked in the raindrop. I went ahead and I put the raindrop in the chat for you guys. I'll make sure that I update it and get it in the description. That way you guys can check it out and you can read through it, because it's a lengthy read if you're going in and you're looking at all the different graphics. But, you know, you can download the whole report and everything all over at ihalc.com/insights the 2005. So you can get there over in that way. Does anyone here work in agency? Is this something? I used to work not in-house, but I used to work at a marketing agency actually, and so it's always interesting to see these. We're going to talk a little bit about Spotify's Wrapped, which, if you guys know, at the end of the year is always something that like everyone posts on their Instagram of everything that they have, you know, said. I listened to a bunch of Miley Cyrus, but Variety recently was reporting that Spotify unveiled its top 50 podcasts of 2025, and that it is obviously led by Joe Rogan, as always, but Theo Von and Mel Robbins. But the thing that I really wanted to call out here is that almost half of the most listened to 50 shows now have video available on Spotify. You can check out their website to get the full list, but I just grabbed the first 25, and you can see that number 1, 2, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 14, 16, 17, 18, 21, and 25 all have video aspects to it. And it's also interesting that it's video on Spotify. It's not even just video on YouTube. Jack is saying, I don't use Spotify. I know, shocking. But of course, this is always something that says that constantly YouTube is increasing in its footprint in podcasting. There's also Apple. That's also podcasting. Jack says, does that make me a geriatric millennial? I think we're already there together. So we're in solitude with one another. But I call this out just because as creatives, that might also be something that you might want to explore. Maybe you want to expand your capabilities, or maybe somebody you reach out to. Maybe you want to work on some podcasts, because these podcasts now need editors, they need graphics, they need motion graphics, they need transitions, they need audio. Like, there's a lot more than just the audio spot. So Bree is saying that Spotify needs to catch up with Apple and spatial audio with 360 sound. Have you listened to any of the 360 sound? I have not yet. I am interested in it though. Although I just did get some Sonos speakers, and I don't know if they have support for spatial audio, so we'll see. Oliver says, if millennials are geriatric, what does that make Gen Xers? Super cool, right? That's all it means. Then we have Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, which I always love to see. I have always been a fan of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, but on Fast Company, Rob Walker is pointing out that the department store chain might be struggling, but its Thanksgiving Day spectacle is thriving as an analog marching scroll. And what he's kind of saying in this article is that it's kind of come back around full circle. That the attention economy in your phone in your hand, and you're swiping and you're flipping things so quickly, actually resonates and then works well in the idea of a parade, because you have these small little segments. You don't stick around for too long and you move on to the next thing. It turns out that they said the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in 2024 drew an estimated 31.7 million viewers on NBC's broadcast and Peacock stream, which was an all-time record, and it was a bigger audience than the Oscars or any entertainment broadcast. And I really was interested about that. They're a little bit quiet about, how much money they're making off of the parade itself and the financials of everything. But just interesting to see a physical thing kind of benefit from a digital thing. Hey, CV girl, good to see you. But did you guys end up watching the parade? I did. I really liked the goldfish float that was like a little tiny RC card, and it was like the tiniest float in history for the parade. But there were a lot of really cool things. It would be really nice to be able to design something for the parade at some point. But, we will see. Then we have some update from Meta. This is SAM 3D. It is powerful 3D reconstruction for physical world images. This is a update that I saw this morning, and it is a new initiative by Facebook where you can scan and create 3D models based off of pictures. So their use case, among a bunch of others, is that, and here you can see this animation, they're pulling things out. They can actually find and rotate kind of bone structures. You can't animate those bone structures yet, but you can pull out elements, and then you're able to turn them and move them in a 3D environment. It takes place of 2 state-of-the-art models. It is SAM 3D objects, for object and scene reconstruction, and SAM 3D Body for human body and shape estimation. It says that they're sharing training and evaluation data here as benchmark, because it's all very early. You can go around and play in the playground, so you can upload your own images and you can see how they then turn around. One thing that I thought was really interesting that they showcase is they use it in the idea of like Facebook Marketplace, being able to take a listing and then using it to then visualize it in your space, which I would be fascinated to see how well that works, and then also how it understands like size and proportion. Interesting to say the least. Could be really useful for people who are building out 3D environments based off of physical locations. And interested to see what the exports are going to end up to be, if they're going to be OBJs or if they're going to be something like a new proprietary model or file format. To see. CV Girl says that they watched the parade and it was fun. I agree, and I am glad to see that you checked it out, because it's one of my favorite things, and I've always like woken up early to go see it anyway. And CV Girl says, but of course they're going to be quiet about the coins they get. Yes, of course. Is anyone surprised? Fox 007 is saying Gen Xers are a small generation, and it's like a previous generation, the forgotten generation 2. We were always mentioned as the boomers, but we are not boomers. All right, I will make sure I call out Gen Xers and 007. Everything should be golden for you. If you see me accidentally not calling you guys out, let me know. Next up on our breakdown of news is this conference that I was made aware of via the people at Brand New who do Under Consideration. This is the in-house, in-person, in-focus in 2026 conference. This is an extension of In-House in Focus, and it is an in-person event that extends their online publication's mission to highlight the structure, motivations, and endeavors of in-house design, which we were just talking about. Communication and brand teams from companies around the world, as well as to celebrate the work and the people behind it that make it possible for companies to build, develop, and evolve a sustainable, engaging, and consistent brand from inside out. Now, guys, we've got M dashes. Do you think that they put the M dashes in, or do you think this was written by AI? It sounds pretty authentic. I feel like this is probably written by a human. It's a 2-day conference highlighting the array of experiences possible at design, communication, and brand in-house teams from around the world and their impact on the organization's goals. Their website is the cutest thing ever. It has this side-scrolling animation of all these little dudes and doodads and like virtual reality headsets that are going by. They've got a bunch of speakers. The speakers include a guy from NASA. They've got MCA, Ocean Spray, New York Times, Wikimedia, Atari, amongst like Etsy and HelloFresh and EA Sports. So a nice wide range of speakers. They just announced their speakers this week, but this is going to actually be on March 19th and 20th in Chicago, Illinois. So if you're in Chicago, you can check it on out. Jack is excited because it's in Chicago, because she can go to that. CV Girls Alessandra. Oh, okay, cool. I did not know that. Well, thank you for being over on YouTube today, Alessandra. You know I prefer YouTube, so thank you guys for being there. Bradley says that he thinks that the write-up on the website, if not written by a human, was at least polished up by a human. Yes, and I agree for that. But I feel bad for all those M dashers out there. I used to use M dashes. Now I'm scared to use M dashes because I'm scared everyone's just going to think that I generated everything that I typed out. Do you guys alter your writing in that way, or is that just me? All right, that's all the news stories we have. It was a quieter news story week this week, only because everyone was off last weekend for Thanksgiving, so we have a lot of other stuff to go through today. But I am most excited about this next thing, which is in Spotlight, which is kind of a catch-all bag for just when I find cool stuff online. But I can't wait to show you guys this one. So this is called Chromatic. It is a new daily game that you can access on your phone or online. And it is, I don't know who it's made by, but the object of it is every single day you go and you get this grid, okay? The grid then has areas that are all locked in. And what you have to do is you have to then rearrange the different items that are the grid to then hopefully try to create some sort of gradient between all of the interchanging things. You can see that it says lock tiles are in the correct spot. Use them as a reference point to help sort the gradient. You can rotate hues if you're having trouble seeing the different colors, which is kind of cool. See, so you can always switch it if you want. And that way, if you have like especially something with like your eyes that you cannot see something. I'm looking at you, Jacob Paris. You should be able to. Ooh, did you hear that though? It gives you little cute. Oh, you probably didn't because I'm probably not sharing my system audio. But I guess when you add it to the right spot, it locks it, and then from there it gives you a cute little jingle. Now I have not completed one on my own yet because I found this late last night, and I am now excited to do this. But I'm not going to do the whole thing because one, you guys are going to roast me as I like can't figure out where everything goes. But look at me, I'm actually doing kind of better. This would have to be like down here, right? Yeah, boy. And like some of it's a lot of trial and error. I don't know if it tells you how many steps you take in between all of them, because that would also be a little humbling. But it's relaxing. It has really good sound design. Who is it made by? It is made by Fader.co, which is a small-time UI UX designer creating thoughtful, intuitive interfaces at the Brainium, a tiny mobile game studio specializing in puzzle games. And so I have not played these other ones, but I really enjoy it. All you have to do is go to feyder.co/project/chromatic. And I can go ahead. I can put that in both the chat for you guys. And also, you can always check out all of these links and everything else in the Raindrop, which is available right over in... I'll make sure it goes in the description as well. But you can see that as we go down through each one, I try to keep it also in order to then call out each one. So next one that I guess we could hop into since we're already on the Raindrop is this is a Reddit thread that I thought was really interesting. It's what's the Photoshop habit you know is wrong, but you still do anyway. And the top discussion is saying that duplicating layers just because I don't trust myself is one that I certainly do. Also, they say they don't name any of their layers. That being said, I do organize everything in named folders, but I always feel bad sending a file down the pipeline with 1,000 layers. Yeah, you can't send that out. You have to rename them before you send things out. This person flattens layer as they work. They know that it's wrong, but they don't care anymore. For some people, it works. Guitar Guy says, sometimes I do image adjustment curves instead of making actual adjustment layers. I'm so naughty. And this person saying that I'm not too concerned about what is wrong or right. Photoshop is a sandbox, but time is money. So mostly about being efficient. And Minnie is saying using a soft brush to make gradients. I've done that before, which is pretty embarrassing and fun, but also super messy. Oliver says he doesn't name his layers. Of course, then Alessandra is saying, of course, which I agree. Also, let me know if you guys end up playing that gradient game, because it'd be interesting to see. I don't know if they give you a time at the end or how many moves, because I've not completed one yet, but I'd like to check that out. Next on our spotlight, I have queued up is this Kelp. No, I have the Spotify Wrapped. The Spotify Wrapped, as you guys know, is at the end of the year. They really kind of revolutionized the space by creating a like weekly yearly wrap up of your listening habits, but they always have a very interesting breakdown of a different design aesthetic each year. And this year they did the at least promotional material by refocusing and reimagining their logo to represent 7 different musical artists. And it looks like, I don't know, maybe they use Substance 3D here. I'm not sure, but it is a little confusing just because like I don't necessarily know if I know. I mean, is this like Pink Panthers? I'm not sure. Or would this be oh, maybe not. This says 7 designs in total. Each logo has its own aesthetic flourish that gestures to one of the year's top artists. Some are fairly obvious. Take the tartan design, for example, a reference to Pink Panther's Fancy That mixtape. The shiny red design is clearly a nod to Gaga's iconic Abracadabra, while the gray flowers point to Justin Bieber's Daisies. See, I would not have gotten that, you know? So interesting. I'm not sure if I even like really recognize any of them. So I'm guessing this is Abracadabra. Um, that is Pink Pantheress, obviously, and it's really nice to meet you. That's what that is right there. Um, you would have to imagine is that Sabrina Carpenter? Maybe this is Sabrina Carpenter. You don't know? Who knows? Oliver is saying it doesn't matter because he doesn't work with other people, so he doesn't have to worry about his files, which is funny. Also, Elliot Moose is saying that it tells you completed the puzzle and number of moves, and they scored with 28 moves. Wow, I feel like that's really low. I feel like that's pretty good, right? Oliver says he doesn't know what any of them are, but they look pretty, which I agree. And Jack Watson also agrees. It is I like this one. I don't know who this is, but I would like to see if they end up switching up. Drew, thanks for being here. Then we have one more spotlight that I just teased, and this is the Kelp. Oh, by the way, I found that out through Creative Block, which I always want to call out. Natalie Fear wrote about it, so you can check out that full article. It has links to different tweets and stuff that you can then check out. Under Creative Block again, we have an article from Natalie Fear, who is the same writer. She's on a tear, I guess. And this is about Kellogg's creating Kelpo as an actual physical product. Kelpo, if you're not familiar, is a referenced cereal that is actually like in like season 1 or season 2 of SpongeBob. I think this is just a really smart campaign because there's a SpongeBob movie coming out at the end of the year, which I saw because I drove by some billboard and I was like, oh, wow, they're making another one. To which I probably won't go see it just because, it's now for a different generation. But I thought it was a smart marketing move. I think it's, I, as somebody who watches SpongeBob in my history, I was able to immediately see it before I even saw that, it was a SpongeBob activation. And I think it's just about knowing your audience and being able to then explore different brand activations, because when you think the SpongeBob and ways to promote a movie, you're not immediately going to be like, we should go to cereal. That's anything beyond, like, obviously they're still just puffs, but I feel like most people be like, we need to make cereal that looks like physically SpongeBob and Patrick, and like this is super easy, low overhead. It's just basically packaging in a box. But it's exciting to see, and I would totally buy them. Lisa's saying, great idea, SpongeBob cereal. Jack's asking if it tastes like kelp. I guess we're going to have to do an on-stream taste testing, and we'll have to see from there. Watch Ryan eat live kelp on stream. But I want to hear from you guys. You guys are doing awesome in the chat. Thank you so much for chatting so much on YouTube. I really do appreciate it. But we're going to get to one of the most popular signs, which is Font of the Week. Font of the Week is the segment of the show we do each week where we hop into Adobe Fonts and we look at 3 different typefaces that are available with your subscription of Creative Cloud, and we look at what they're used for, how you might be able to implement them into your own work, and then we vote on which one we think is the best one. We end up crowning a winner, and from that winner, we then put them in the Hall of Fame, which is on the Raindrop, and you can go and access any of them at any point of the day. So this week, our contenders, we have our New Herman from Newlin. We have Adrian Text. And then we also have Etna from Mark Simonson Studio. I'm going to go ahead and start a poll over on YouTube. So if you are over on Behance, make sure you hop over to YouTube to check out the poll and put in your vote. We're going to start off with New Herman, and we are going to then just break down a little bit about the font, see what it looks like, and we're actually going to hop over to Photoshop in a second so that we can see them in action. We can see here, New Herman, it says that it is pragmatic, well-preserved, normalization, and existentialism. It is a serif font, a sans serif font, and it's got a lot of character to it. I really like the lowercase here of a G. I think that there's some wonkiness that's going on with like the W's, which is really nice. It is linked, I said, in the in here. So you can see that it was designed by Elena Schneider, and it has 4 different weights for you. It is very fun. It's nice. You could use it in probably large amounts of text if you wanted to use it as body copy, but I think it's also flexible enough that you can also use it as a header. Look, we're back in the Photoshop area. We always like to go in and just kind of check out what it looks like when you put in File New. This is what it is if you do it all uppercase. I like how the N doesn't go all the way to the bottom. It always kind of just keeps everything high with a higher X height here. But also, like, the lowercase is actually a lowercase, which is always nice to see. As far as glyphs go, if you go to Window Glyphs, you can always see how much support it has for different languages with accents and different symbols, as well as cool things like we always like to see the arrows, and it has trademarks and rights reserves as far as different letters of numbers. It has small caps and different arrows even too, which is nice to see. Next up, we have Adrian text. Similarly, has a lot of accents and has a lot of support for, I don't even know what this is. Looks like this is getting into some Greek letters, fractions. You can do your math homework. It has division symbols and rights reserves, copyright, among others. This is a, oh wait, is this even Adrian? Yeah, it is. No, this is not. This is the wrong font. That's why. I was like, what is going on? That was Adriana. I was like, these are not serif, and this is definitely a serif. Look at these pretty ones. Good news is everything that I just said seems to still be true. Yes, with some cool ligatures. Also has arrows, division. Ooh, this one has glyphs though. Baby glyphs. Look at these glyphs. All right. So if you scroll all the way to the bottom, that's where you're always going to get the fun little things. They have ornament glyphs here. So these can be scaled at any size that the font can be scaled. It looks like you have a sun and moon situation, an eye, some pointing fingers. It's got these crazy little things that you could use probably for like a border if you wanted to, which would be kind of nice. So like if you do a bunch of them, we're going to move this to the side here. And like you could technically like go in here and maybe make some sort of cool border, and then you could take that border and you could either like copy and paste it over and over again, like this, and it's like I said, it's totally scalable, but you could like even go here and then like, you know, rotate it. How's there already a vote? Because people like to vote too early, right? Jack is crazy. Jack is understanding the plight, not the plight. And you could create something, and this is all still within just like the typeface, which is really cool. As long as it has support wherever you're working and you have it synced, you could do that. This could be good for a Christmas card. I think even the type itself could be good for a Christmas card, just because it is relaxed and feels human. It's got really good legibility, works at a bunch of different sizes, has 4 weights between light, regular, bold, and extra bold. Steve says it looks like Times New Roman. Do you guys want to see it side by side? We can look at it with side by side with Times New Roman, and we can see if we agree with you or not. So we're going to look at Adrian regular text, and we're going to say File New. And then underneath of it, we're right here going to put some Times New Roman, which I don't think it looks like Times New Roman. But check out. This is Times New Roman. So you can see here that there are subtle differences. I think this is a lot softer, which is nice, even if it has harder edges. Like these are technically curved, so you'd be like, oh, that's softer. But just the way that kind of the top of the L is curved here, a little bit fluffier. Same with the diagonal of the F here. That makes it feel softer and more human, as well as some things like a higher X height for the E to make it feel a little bit more squeezed. And then it still has its curves here on the L or what have you. But if I were to pick between the two, between Times New Roman, Reverb Mike saying Times Old Roman, but Alessandra says that she sees the similarities. But Steve says yawn. He's not into it. He doesn't like the spin-off of Times New Roman. FYI, Adrian is missing from the, oh goodness, It is missing from the raindrop links, so thank you. I will make sure that we add that right now. You guys can see in real time. This is what it looks like when I add something to the raindrop. I click it like this, and then I go here, and I say December 3rd, and I say font of the week, and then you add it, and it pops up. And then when I go over to the raindrop, I have to reload the page, and then it pops at the top. And because I like you guys, I move it all the way down here, so that then it pops. Oh, and it's out of order, so we got to make sure Etna's last. So let's take a look at Etna real quick, which hopefully, Steve, is good for you. This says that it was inspired by... Where'd you go? By the Etna wood type steel of the late 19th century. Etna tames this quirky Victorian design into a complete family suitable for modern use, adding a full range of 6 weights and italics, allowing it to work equally well for both text and display. It includes 3 different condensed widths and all 6 weights, 4 different figure styles, alternate characters, true small caps, and a selection of dingbats, including arrows, stars, asterisks, and manicules, which are known as pointing hands. That could be a trivia. Like, what is a pointing hand called? It's called a manicule. I guess kind of like a manicure, a manicule. You can see there's lots of different styles here. You can see that when we write out file new, it has really cool like angles. I love the curvature of the taller letter forms, how it goes from thick to thin. It has some fun stuff. Steve, tell me, is this gonna at least be different enough for you for Times New Roman? It would be interesting. We are really excited to check out some of these dingbats because you guys know I love my glyphs. So looking at the glyph section, it has lots of alternates for all of these. It's got fractions. It's got your arrows. It's got currencies, arrows. Oh, look at those manicules. We love a manicule. It also has different accents you can add to your own letters if you have something that's not there. Sizable and a lot of different text. You can also switch up the weight between regular. Let's look at semi-bold. You guys want to see it? Black. It gets real thick. It turns into a fatty. A good old fat font. Love a fat font. But then we also have skinny, inny, mini with light. So it has a lot of flexibility. And I know my favorite for the week. But if you guys need to come back to these at any point, we can definitely do that. Steve says that it is a better Times, but he thinks that Herman is best. It looks like as of right now, we're not going to call it because we still have time for plenty of voting. New Herman is currently just barely in the lead with 44% of the vote. Etna is at 33%, and Adrian is at 22%. So make sure you make your vote heard. And whichever winner pops up will then also be available in the Font of the Week winners. While you guys are continuing to vote at that, we are going to hop back over to our board here. There are good examples of it in use for each of these. I know I blew this one out, but we can also blow these 2 out. And that's just me actually just directly pulling from the Adobe fonts. And we will crown the winner. It's not Etna yet, don't worry. To which you can then see how they kind of all mess it out. But since we're on the topic of type, I do want to highlight a Fast Company article that I saw. And it says, this charming new font is a love letter to San Francisco's public transit. This is Fran Sans, and it pays homage to the display signs on San Francisco Muni trains. It's written by Hunter Schwartz for Fast Company. And the cool thing about this is that there is not like a overarching MTA in San Francisco like there is New York. And that means that there are a bunch of different individual lines that are maintained and managed by different companies. And apparently there was one that was recently retired. So this type designer, Emily Snedden, was inspired by the typeface that was on one of these things with kind of made of blocks and curved different individual areas. It has support for both blocky text and non-blocky text with 3 different styles. You know, one where it's just non-interrupted, then kind of like Tetris style, and then the one that is truly panel style. So solid, tile, and panel. It's a cool way to just be able to get inspiration from the real world and then create a really cool product. It has a whole write-up and is just, I don't know, inspiring, but also cool. I'd like to be able to find something. I know for like a lot of these, not necessarily this one, but for some things, I think like on the Underground in London, I think that they're not even displays. They're like things that like flip around to be able to show you. Annika's in the chat. Nice to see you. If you need to be able to see the fonts for the font of the week vote, Annika, this is what it looks like. These are your 3 options. This is Adrian. This is New Herman. And this is Etna. All linked in the raindrop for your resource, but make sure you give it a vote because right now it's looking like New Herman is still winning, but could still be taken over. It doesn't look like Adrian's going to win. So if you guys are big Adrian fans, make sure you tell your friends to come hop on in the chat. Reverb Mike is voting for Etna, but he's also saying that as far as this San Francisco public transit goes, he's like Waymo, which, you know what? Maybe you could get inspired by the little spinning text that you see when you get in a Waymo where it like says your name on the top, which is always really weird. You're like, everyone knows my name as I'm getting into this car. But also you get in the car and it's like, hey, Ryan. And you're like, oh, hey, girl. All right. That's all we have for font news, but I do want to spend some time and get some cool resources for you guys to check out. As you would expect, resources is the time when we go over things that you can use in your workflow or in your daily life. First thing is an Illustrator tip coming from Topiasupply, which we feature a lot on this stream. They have a really great Instagram filled with really good carousels filled with knowledge that you could easily digest and you don't have to come back to later. You can just kind of read through them once, and then the next time you're in Illustrator or you're somewhere else, you can kind of just be like, oh, okay, I remember that thing. So this one's all about evenly spacing different sized objects in Illustrator. It says that you can not have to rely on using little blocks that you're moving in between spots. It says horizontal distribution won't work with different sized objects as it focuses on the center of each object. So what you're going to do is you're going to select your objects and open up the align panel, which you guys will probably be familiar with. It is regular, but down here under distribute spacing, there is this one called horizontal distribute space, and it will distribute space based on the total width. So if you specify spacing value, you choose a key object by clicking on one of the selected objects, and then you can set the exact distance between each one. So now you can throw away those measuring blocks, and you can perfectly space different size objects in seconds. This is really helpful as far as being able to just make sure that things are properly distributed, because these are really good when things are all the same width and size, but as soon as they are different sizes, it gets really goofy really quickly. And this is a way to be able to distribute things out. Jack is saying that she doesn't like that people can see your name on the top of the Waymo. I think you can change of what you put for your like signifier. I think you could like make it say like Princess of Illustrator, which is what you would put, obviously. Kathleen says, I can never vote because I can't choose. You must choose for behalf of the fonts and the resources for everyone else, because as you know, all the winners end up in the Hall of Fame, which is a resource for other people. But that's not the resource that we're focusing on right now. I want to talk about Doc, which is doc.cc, which is a publication that I recently came across because it was featured by sidebar.io. And it's a really great resource because they say every new publication is a glimpse into a new possible future, a desire for a world that might be. It also symbolizes change. Design publishing needs a break from the endless feeds, from the 10 tips, from the do's and don'ts, from the how-tos and the whatnots. Quality requires moving away from quantitative metrics, and what's popular to an algorithm isn't necessarily good. Design is curation. There's a publication called Doc, issue number 2766-5267, is an editorial platform that explores meaning in the world of design and invites digital product designers to expand their references beyond the UX bubble. We publish stories worth publishing, and we keep ideas worth keeping. Everything else is noise. We pause, we breathe, we assimilate, we seek meaning, we document the world of design through the lens of curiosity and awe. It has 2 different editors, Fabrico Texiera and Ciao Braga, with design by Glauber Sampiro. And it's just a really good resource of different thought pieces. This one right here is Syntax, and it's a series that examines core concepts shaping our design world, tracing their origins and dissecting their practical significance. I was put on to this nice article about critique and talking about elevating craft through critical thinking. And it's nicely spaced out, and it's an experience, and it's talking about how you have to take critiques and you have to take them strongly and not just look for praise, but you want to grow as an artist and you want to grow as a person, be able to have that's decoupling of being able to like being so attached to all of your work. It says a well-facilitated crit is essential to extract value. Like you can't just accept everything. It has to be approached properly. And it's just a nice thought piece. So if you're ever looking for just a quick read, maybe like under 5 minutes or something, a lot of these work really well. They have a bunch of different articles too that are outside of that series, with like good metaphors. They also say it takes time to design, to think less and feel more. Story of a button, you name it. The snake that eats its tail. So it is very cool. Jack is saying, talking about the thing. Reaver Mike is saying clients equal change. Yes, I mean clients will also give you a lot of change, but I think it's also something that you have to navigate and you have to figure out how you can still have your own piece, while not having to sacrifice both the product and also the way that you want to implement your changes to make it worth your thing. Then we have something from the Adobe Express blog here, and this was written by Rachel Carton, and it says, reusing top performers, end-of-year wrap-ups, and more social media trends to try out now. This is on the Adobe Express blog. It is a nice way to be able to diversify and come up with new ideas for any social content that you're looking to make. It's saying that you can repost a piece of content because it's the end of the year. You can use an internal stat as a hook, like this is our most popular product this year or our most expensive order ever. You can post a popular post from a text-based platform onto a photo-based platform, like taking Blue Sky or X or Mastodon, putting it in. You can turn social listening into a post, which means that oftentimes your community is already telling you what they want to see. Look through some of the most popular comments you've received this year. Is there a theme you can create a carousel or video around? Like a beauty company notices that their makeup bag keeps getting tagged in TSA bin photos. What do? They make a meme around traveling with that makeup bag, of course. And then, of course, with Wrapped, we've seen super success in the end of the year wrap up, or, there's always that one at the end of the year that's like, and with that, the end of 2025 ends with that. So that's always a good approach. Are you guys going to post your wrap? Are you guys going to create your own wraps? Let me know. River Mike says that in the end, clients wind up owning the work. Yes, which is true, but it also depends on what kind of products you work on. And sometimes you can be your own. Jeepers is late to the party, but Jeepers is here. Welcome, Jeepers. You're never too late. It's good to have you. I'm going to give you a resource to calm down because you seem stressed out. This is the Anxiety Toolkit. This is a set of open source tools that you can access either as an app or on a web-based system, that just gives you 9 evidence-based exercises in your pocket to calm down. I know, at least for me, it's a very stressful time of year because everybody wants to finish up their budgets for the year. They have a lot of projects that they're juggling, and sometimes it's just something. Oh, now they even have 10, it looks like, because they have a new online fidget spinner. You can hop in between things like a guided 2-minute breathing that can have either audio cues or not. You can enable them to breathe in, breathe out. It'll tell you how long you've been in progress as well. One that I think is really useful is if you're really freaked out, you can do grounding, and it gives you like a little checkbox to like go through for each thing. It's like, can you find something that's moving or has shadow? And then like when you click it, it's like, okay, watch how the movement changes, creating patterns of light and shadow. And it's like, okay, cool. Then you can focus on something else, an object with smooth texture, and then that way you can pop through. And then for those of you that are a little bit more sensory, there's also stress relief bubbles. It gives a little pop, and you go through. And so I think this is more of a Swiss Army knife when you're like really having a bad time, if you're having a panic attack or something, or you're just anxious. And you can always reset it, and it's all free, and it's all open source, which is pretty cool. That's just at anxietyaidtools.com. And it looks like they have nice resources. It's all open source, and just kind of helps you find things that work well. They also have their own subreddit, but I hope that helps somebody who needs it. Bree is saying that's awesome. Yeah, because anxiety is stinky, and no one likes stinky stuff. Our last segment, we have about 10 minutes left. We're actually doing pretty good on time this week, which I'm super proud of. So let's go, and we'll talk about some rebrands. Where to start? I wanted to talk about this Creative Boom Mentimeter illustration rebrand. I had never heard of Mentimeter before, but something that I really liked about this one, it was written about by Abby Bamford, is these kind of collection of not quite Keith Haring, not quite cave drawing animations that are really, really pretty. They add a lot of character and... oh, do I not have this linked in the raindrop? I guess I don't. Let's pull it up then. Mentimeter introduces playful new illustrations. I'll make sure that I get this back in the raindrop. And these are really cute. And you guys know I love cute, but they're cute in a way that isn't necessarily like, I don't know, bulby and cartoony. And they have really good visual language, really good loops. I like the texture. I like how they're wonky lines, but they're not going too crazy. They remind me also of like late 90s like clip art, but not in a bad way, in the best way possible. Also kind of remind me of some like Olympic like symbols for the different events. But I think they turn out really nice, and they scale really well, which is really nice. And I just think it's really, really impressive. This has a whole write-up, and it talks about the fresh suite of illustrations. It was hand-drawn world developed by Dutch designer and animator Loke Voogs, which if we search Google for Loke Voogs, this is their site. And lokevoogs.nl looks like simple shapes and playful patterns. He distills each project to the purest idea. So he's got some really good work. And so make sure you guys check his stuff out. I'm definitely going to give him a follow, and I think you should too. Ping Pong One is cool, says Steven. Where is that? Where's that ping pong? Oh, that's the ping pong. Oh, that's very cool. I agree. Definitely agree. Elliot is saying that these are lovely. Jeepers loves these. Steve says cool. What's happening with the horse? Yeah, it's a two-person horse costume. That's what's happening, Jack. You know, Vandal's here. Good to see you, Vandal. Make sure you guys vote on the font of the week. I will show you guys it real quick right before we hop into our other rebrand. But that way you can at least have an eye on them. And then you can vote for which one you like best. It's Etna, New Herman, and Adrian Text. You can vote over on a YouTube. Keys is joining us over on Behance. Make sure you hop over to YouTube in order to vote. And then we can give the crown to someone. On 8 Productions is saying that those illustrations were fun. I definitely agree. But this is, since we're talking about the Olympics, let's actually keep it focused on the Olympics. There is some drama already. There's always drama with this stuff, right? Like, people are always really upset about any given Olympics design. But this is being written about on Fast Company by Hunter Schwartz again. And it's the Utah 2034 logo that is working out, and it has type that is based off of the structure of Utah and like the rivers and the peaks, and also I think some of the indigenous, at least that's what it reads to me, the indigenous community of Utah. Now it is being compared to like a bad menu design for some designers, which is I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit of a stretch. But it's got this interactive type that then, you know, is then reflected in kind of the images that are placed next to it. They posted a video on their own channel that was like a bunch of different motifs and showing images and images and then slowly revealing it next to these letter forms. How do we feel about it, chat? Do we like it or not? Reverb Mike is saying Johnny Utah. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for him. But I'd be interested. This is like just the first look into what it's going to look like, but it'll be interesting to see what other elements end up being something that pops up. You know, it like has its own T-shirt. Let me see if I can get a thing of the logo. I mean, the video real quick. But I might not. I also don't know if that'll get us a content strike. So I'll have you guys actually check it out because I don't want to get a content strike just in case, you know, it is the Olympics after all. All right, we got to speed up because we only got a few minutes left. But I wanted to talk quickly about the AGI NY unveils a new identity rooted in community and New York's creative energy. It has New York kind of built around this AIGA, which is kind of the original looking kind of logo for it. But it has really cool ways of interacting with different environments. It has good framing. I think it's still really easy to read. Like, it doesn't read necessarily as nuke your. It still has a good way of being able to just kind of like have you work your way around. I particularly like it when they have it, you know, with something breaking through the middle. And it's interesting because you can see here that they added a little bit of blue in between the crown and the E, which wouldn't actually be there, but your brain still knows what it looks like. They have some really good stuff about how the spacing and structure works really well with things like the metro. Oh my God, the metro. Do I even live here? The subway. And then also working off of different things like kind of these frantic letter forms that are on the side of buildings. I think it's really pretty. I think it works really well. And it is apparently being announced today in New York. Updates are of time. City designs, ecosystem, both expanding and evolving. Stacy. Oh, I love this name. Can I do a highlight to just be like pronounce out loud? Panosupoulos, executive director at AIGA New York, says the work is less about reinvention and more about clarity. But I think there's some reinvention there. I think it looks well. Although Annika can't unsee nuke your, so sorry for doing that. And let's see here. Fast Company caught my eye first. Between which? Fast Company caught my eye first. The landscape connection is cool. I missed that one. I missed it in time for it. Oh, Fast Company, what, just down here? Because Fast Company is who made it, who did the thing for it. I think the saturated blue area is a bad Photoshop, but aesthetic is nice. Ooh, okay. So you think it was a happy accident, or you think it's just overall, it kind of just worked out? I don't know. Oh gosh, we're limited on time. Right after this, we have a Twitch stream, so the Behance thing is going to get cut off, but we're going to go a little bit over. We're not going to interfere on a Twitch stream, I promise. But Behance, you might get cut off, so if you're going to get cut off, make sure you hop over to YouTube real quick. Then we wanted to look real quick at graphic design subreddit. It says, anyone disappointed with Apple's Fontbook icon redesign? The top one is the original. The bottom one is the new one. This is yet another update to the system icons and UI that's based off of Liquid Glass. They're trying to unify everything. I don't think the top is necessarily beautiful, but I do like it more than the bottom one. The A doesn't bother me. Like, the stylization of the A is nice. Like, I would be fine if they even took this and kind of reformatted it with maybe different letter forms, or even just like a uppercase and a lowercase a, just something to show that it's more than just one letter, because I feel like that's not what I would associate with fonts. But yeah, I don't know. I think the interesting thing that I've liked about Liquid Glass is that they keep refining it. Now, some would say that that's like revealing and putting out and distributing a non-finished product, but for me, it's nice to be able to see them kind of put something out, they take feedback, and they switch it. If you guys remember from a few weeks ago, there was a new Finder logo that everyone absolutely hated, and they actually switched it back between betas. So you can see here that it goes from beta 1, they switch it then back to beta 2, where they switched it to be a little bit more like the old one, because yeah, the old one looked like this, and when they switched it, it just like messed it up visually. I think, you know, it does work, but they tend to move things around. Then going back quickly to the New York thing, just because there were a few more comments on it, I want to make sure I touch on it. By the way, it used to look like this. This is before and after. Thanks to our friends at Brand New for doing the before and after, spotted by Armin. Saying that the K being higher than the Y is what's causing the strangeness, but I think it is needed for the framing to happen. There's a YouTube reviewer who uses animated icon holding a cup of coffee, and the text is thusly skewed badly. So interesting to see. Same with the Olympic logos. Apple logo will also call controversy. Yes, agreed. It's always going to have controversy. No matter what Apple does, it's just so big of a company that it's not going to do anything. Then I think we have one thing left, right? No, or is that everything? That's everything. That's all the stuff we have. So since we're at time, we're going to go back to Font of the Week, which is over here. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end this poll. Sorry for everybody we just lost on Behance, but I warned you. We're going to go ahead. We're going to end this poll. And the winner with... Wow, it actually kind of leveled out a lot. The winner with 50% of the votes, but the other two were 25%, is... New Herman. So, down here, we have our winner. This is our winner for the week. We take this and we will add it to the raindrop for Font of the Week winners, which means that it will be taken out of December 3rd. So if you're looking for it in December 3rd, it will no longer be there by the time you watch this. But it goes into our Hall of Fame of Font of the Week winners, which you can always pop through and you can check out. And you can see the last 21 winners, and they're all pretty cool. There's some weird ones in there too, but if you have a problem with it, blame chat. Now, Reverb Mike is saying it is Times New Greek, which, you know, whatever works. Next up after this, though, we do have a Twitch stream. I believe it is CA in LA. So you can find that by going over to the Adobe page on twitch.tv/Adobe. And they're getting set up over here. Yesterday there was some roller troll, and the day before there was really fun illustration with or painting with Maddie. You can always check out recent broadcasts too if you want to check out the roller troll from yesterday and the virtual plein air painting from the day before. Thank you everyone for being here. Thanks for hanging out. We will be back again next week. My name's Ryan Selvey. You can find me on Instagram and on Blue Sky. Instagram, I'm just Ryan Selvey. Blue Sky, I'm RyanSelvey.com. And then, of course, make sure you join that Discord, which is the Adobe Live Discord, where you can always hop in and you can check out the file new section where you can then suggest new things. Oh, I see Arif also mentioned the Warner Music thing. I forgot to mention that. So make sure you check out the Discord, though. Thank you for posting the results as well over there. And thanks for putting the link for Chromatic even more in there. I'll make sure that I put the raindrop in there as well. We're going way over. I'm going to hear about this in the mod meeting. So thanks in advance. All right, guys. Have a good rest of your week. I will see you all next week. And take it easy. See you all over on Adobe Twitch. Love you all. Mean it. Thanks for watching.